you're sort of set up and you're put into this system where I think that you're supposed to be a jack of all trades, and you're 11, 12 years old, and you're sort of conditioned to say, well, the casting director's there and say, well, can you juggle? And you're like, absolutely, I can juggle. And I remember sort of having that attitude for a while, and I didn't book a job for like a year at like 12, 13 years old. It was that year of like rejection where I finally said to I suppose I took a different attitude towards the audition process. And I started to get jobs after that. And I think it was really because I said to myself, I'm not dependent on this job. This isn't going to define me, and I started to sell myself less, prepare more for the roles, really investigate the characters as much as I could, and not feel like, my self-worth was dependent on whether I booked the job or not. And I think that's finally what clicked with me, and I realized that casting directors weren't always necessarily looking for the Broadway showman that could do whatever they wanted, but somebody that had, I don't want to say a little edge to them, but a different attitude about the audition process, because you focus more on the work, you focus more on the character rather than selling yourself constantly to these people. I never knew that I could do it as a career. I never knew. It was the first memory that I had. It's the first thing I can think of is saying, I want to be an actor, to my parents. And if I hadn't lived in Los Angeles and been in such close proximity to sort of the mecca of movie making, if I didn't have parents that said, okay, we'll drive you to auditions, we didn't have the economic means to, move camp from Idaho to Los Angeles because some snotty 10-year-old kid says, I want to be an actor. We did it, and after school I got to go on auditions, but it was always, and I've said this before, it felt like an elite group of people, and it felt like I would never belong to them. So once I got the opportunity to, for example, get the movie This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro, I said, wow, now I'm able to I might be able to steer the course of my career. I might be able to have a career similar to these guys that I so admire. And that I knew at 15 years old was the biggest gift in the world, and that's never left me. I've never that thirst or that hunger for wanting to give one great performance that I'm truly satisfied with, or be in one movie that I said, I love this film, is something that I don't know will ever be quenched. I don't know, and I think that's a good thing, because it keeps pushing you. You have that one lucky moment, and that you can't discount. I mean, I don't care what anyone says, whether somebody has talent or not, whether they were destined for a certain career. If you don't get that one opportunity and you're not there at the right time to seize it, and you didn't go for it, none of it would happen. I would not have the career I would have right now whatsoever, I don't think. The ability to do that one thing that says, okay, now we'll allow you to do more movies. That's it.
As an actor, I pretend for a living. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe that mankind has looked at climate change in that same way, as if it were a fiction, as if pretending that climate change wasn't real would somehow make it go away. But I think we all know better than that now. Every week we're seeing new and undeniable climate events, evidence that accelerated climate change is here right now. Our oceans are acidifying, with methane plumes rising up from the ocean floor. We are seeing extreme weather events and the West Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets melting at unprecedented rates, decades ahead of scientific projections. You can make history, or you will be vilified by it. To be clear, this is not about just telling people to change their light bulbs or to buy a hybrid car. This disaster has grown beyond the choices that individuals make. This is now about our industries and our governments around the world taking decisive, large-scale action. This is not a partisan debate, it is a human one. Clean air and a livable climate are inalienable human rights. And solving this crisis is not a question of politics, it is a question of our own survival. This is the most urgent of times and the most urgent of messages. Honored delegates, leaders of the world, I pretend for a living, but you do not. The time to answer humankind's greatest challenge is now. We beg of you to face it with courage and honesty.